When you think of your favorite sporting moment, what is it that you think of? Is it Martin Tyler's euphoric delivery supporting Aguero's goal? Perhaps Joe Rogan's pointing out of the obvious, he front-kicked him in the face for Anderson Silva's front-kick knockout? Or maybe even the much-beloved Murray Walker's iconic, "I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat." Commentary teams and the companies delivering their efforts can make or break an event, or even a sport's success entirely, with lackluster efforts costing sports in viewership or potentially ruining what could have been an iconic moment, sullying the moment and losing out on the iconic status the moment deserves. Sports is an entertainment industry after all, so the connection between what the fans hear and see is integral to satisfy the needs of the viewer. Formula One has a history of iconic deliveries and even more iconic moments, however the main broadcasting company has a rather mixed record to say the least when it comes to the approval ratings from the fans. From the constant reminder that the one and only person on this earth actually paying for Sky Glass has it better than you, well, supposedly anyway, to controversial characters grating against the viewership's nerves every weekend, it appears that Sky knows it's in need of a refresh, and they have potentially found just the person to cleanse the palates of the fans who have had just about enough. Want to know who Sky have lined up to take on the challenge of pleasing F1's viewers? It's far from an easy job, but if it's who we think it is, then we will be in very safe hands indeed. And stick around, because if there's someone coming into the spotlight, then chances are there's people moving out of it. So who could be some of our favorite or most hated commentators getting the axe? It's fair to say that Sky F1 put their foot in it like it's going out of fashion. From Red Bull's boycott to the consistent frustration voiced by fans online, they don't seem afraid to stir the pot. The coverage of the most controversial season finale in recent years was inevitably going to cause frustration on one side of the fanbase or another. However, the heavy-handed way that Sky's commentary and pundit teams have handled it ever since the event was one-sided to say the least. Whether their opinions were correct or not, we'll leave that down to you to decide, but it's not really down to the company charged with delivering non-partisan coverage to sway your decision either way, merely to deliver the facts and their opinions as separate things rather than blur the lines between subjective and objective commentary. The consistency of their targeted coverage of Verstappen, Red Bull and Massey bad, Hamilton and Mercedes robbed, as well as Ted Kravitz's cumbersome and puppy-like approach led to the Red Bull boycott in 2022, something which required F1 themselves to step in and patch relations up on. As lovable as some of the team can be, there is a gap for a character who is staunchly in the middle of the road, someone with a bit of candor and decorum to bring some balance to the table. But before we get into some prospects, let's take a look at some of the people potentially heading for the door in years to come. One such person is Martin Brundle, with the 64-year-old being a fan favorite for his grid walks, leading to some great moments of character on the grid, such as Stormzy's repeat appearances, while also making laughing stocks of those that deserve it. Looking at you, MGK. In a surprisingly candid answer in a fan forum, Brundle spoke out on the strain of the long calendar, as well as his hopes to stay in the sport for as long as possible, saying, "Goodness knows I'm 64, so when do you retire? I don't know. I'm around in 2024, put it that way, and then hopefully far beyond. It's something I get involved in with my 16 races. They kind of choose themselves really. The beginning and the end of the season, the high-profile races, obviously the British Grand Prix, the primetime races in North and South America, they choose themselves for me. 24 races next year is going to be brutal on everybody, and the thought of trying to do all 24 is tough." So while it looks like Martin won't be fully phased out for quite some time to come, it does bring an important question. Just how many races is too much for one person? In an expanding calendar with more and more public eyes on the sport, it may not be the loved or hated pundits currently on the scene that are moved on entirely, but rather Sky may aim to lean more into the rotation model that Martin alluded to. This would mean fresh perspectives from faces we don't recognize becoming more common, with Naomi Schiff and our personal favorite pundit of last year, Bernie Collins, being incredibly welcome additions. Not only that, but region-specific commentators may become more prevalent, especially the amount of American races on the calendar ushering in more and more opportunities for the likes of Danica Patrick, as well as other American or recognizable to the American audience pundits. We have a really good idea for someone we'd put forward for that criteria, but more on that later. Following the axing of Johnny Herbert and Paul di Resta, as well as the lessened presence of Martin Brundle, there will be a lot of room for new names and personalities to grow in the sport. The current confirmed names that Sky will be taking forward are the commentary duo of Brundle and Croft, with ex-Formula 1 drivers like Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg, Karun Chandhok, and Damon Hill, which alone is a pretty stacked lineup. Add to this the chaos of Ted Kravitz, the familiar fresh faces of Schiff, Collins, and Danica Patrick, as well as the consistent voices of Lazenby and Pinkham, then you have a pretty solid foundation. So then, what do you add? Well, for us, there are 3 routes that Sky could go down. Let us know your thoughts as to what is the best in the comments. Did we get it completely wrong, or do you think that there's some strength in our suggestions? Let's get started with a presence that Formula E viewers will recognize, as well as lovers of American motorsport: Dario Franchitti. A retired Scottish driver will instantly get people's worries up after the Marmite that was Paul di Resta, but fans of Formula E will be able to tell you that Dario is a much loved and highly intelligent presence within the race weekend, someone that has a keen eye and much experience within single-seater motorsport, being a 4-time drivers' champion in IndyCar and winner of the Indy 500 on 3 separate occasions. Recognizable to American audiences? Tick. Experience in single-seater motorsports? Tick. He was even the test driver for Jaguar F1 back in the early 2000s, so he is no stranger to the paddock and would make for an incredibly good choice to the broadcasting company. Speaking of test and reserve drivers, another potential option would be to play into the rotational model that Brundle mentioned earlier, with Sky having a plethora of personalities traveling to every race weekend to be utilized. From the vastly popular Jamie Chadwick to the familiar face of Enzo Fittipaldi, a young outlook and perspective to balance out the sometimes dated and unrelatable to younger audiences' perspectives of the aging team. Not to say I don't like hearing Damon Hill's wisdom or Martin Brundle's insight, but someone with boots on the ground and actively involved within the day-to-day processes of each team could make for incredibly engaging commentary, especially if utilized beyond their current practice session filler roles. And last, but certainly not least, is to add another ex-F1 driver, but pull no punches when it comes to the recent experience and lovable nature. Of course, we are talking about Sebastian Vettel. Now, before you say that he only recently left due to how much of his life it was eating up, hear us out. The rotation model gives him the opportunity to still spend time with his family and being a dad, while also being able to give him the opportunity to be involved with the sport he still loves and actively pays attention to. This balance would be perfect for Seb. Retain a presence within the paddock while also being able to live his life outside of it. In a recent interview, Seb said this about his time away from the sport and whether he would look to return. It was strange at first not to be there, but I get on well with it and follow the sport with great interest. So far, I'm doing very well with my decision, but what I missed the most is the competition and the tension. So a way of being actively involved while not letting it eat up his entire life sounds like a pretty sweet deal to us. Beyond that, he'd make for a funny, already loved, and incredibly informative addition to the team, someone that would find it easy to strike the balance between the human relatability with killer instinct and an understanding of exactly what is going on within the drivers' helmets. He may also be able to chip away a bit deeper at the drivers due to him being a trusted, familiar, and friendly face, meaning he could get deeper into some issues than the current pundit team ever could. Out of the 3, the test and reserve drivers would make the easiest immediate addition and could even be implemented long-term with another one of our suggestions. In a perfect world, Dario and Seb would be a perfect duo to add to the team, with the former's media presence being perfect within single-seater coverage and the latter being a voice that is recognized and loved within the paddock and at home. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching.